again with the same topic of the breaking of the seventh commandment, which is one of the signs of the coming of Christ. It's a major sign, to be honest, and it has engrossed the whole world. So we'll continue to agitate over this topic until we all learn what God wants us to do. So our topic today is still the same, and we will have substandards of the topic, and there is one pertaining to the moral standards of the women and moral standards of the men. So I don't know which one you want me to start with, men or women. I'll start with women, because there is a moral standard which we need to raise up in order to make sure this condition is minimized. How is it? Is it because of our moral standard that this law has been broken so much? So it's both the moral standard of men and women which should be lifted high, so that we do not offend God by breaking the seventh law, which is saying, thou shalt not commit adultery. So it is to do with the moral standard. As we studied last week, we saw that this sin starts in the brain like all other sin. It starts in the brain, and it's got signs and symptoms which work towards the breaking of the sin. We saw the sign was like winks, the facial look, the texts or written statements, or anything that we do to attract the opposite sex. And this is what leads us to committing this sin. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Now, today we're going to elaborate more about it, so that we see whether we are not caught up with the standard which will give us, make us break this commandment as women. First as women, and then we'll come to men. So men shouldn't enjoy and think, oh, tell the women, because most people will blame the women. And yes, it's both sides. So let's start with what pertains to the women. Yeah, you saw when Adam and Eve broke the law, the men were saying it's the woman. And if anyone wants to blame the woman, is it? But we saw that woman who came after committing adultery, they brought that woman to Christ. They wanted to stone that woman, isn't it? But Christ was writing on the floor. What was he writing? The sins of the men that broke the law together with this woman. So much as we can blame the women, we also should also look into the men that also contribute towards this sin. So we are starting with the moral standard of women, which should help us avoid this sin, or which should make us contribute to that sin, which we don't want to contribute to that sin. We want to please God by avoiding it. You understand? So we are on the moral standard of the for women, right? And we are going to read from the book AH, which is Adventist Home, page 331, third paragraph. We start on the third paragraph there. Let's go to that text. What does it say?
Moral standards for women. I write with a distressed heart that the women in this age, both married and unmarried, too frequently do not maintain the reserve that is necessary.
Some would think that it's the problem coming from single women, but it's both. Both married and unmarried. They both are susceptible to breaking the same law, isn't it? It's even worse with married ones. You understand? With single, at least some people will say, oh, she was single. But with married men and married women, it's even worse, because you wonder what is the lack, because he's got his wife, and she's got her husband. So why encroach onto the other family? So it is both married women and single they are also susceptible to breaking that law. Like here it says, because Sister White says she writes in distressed heart, that women in this age, both married and unmarried, too frequently do not maintain the reserve that is necessary. So there is a standard which is necessary, which will promote you not to break this commandment. Do you understand? But let's hear more. Let's hear.
They act like coquettes.
Right? I don't know what it is that she's saying, but she's going to elaborate how we act that way. You understand? Let's hear.
They encourage the attentions of single and married
There
men.
is a way the women also act in a way to encourage the opposite men. You understand? This is one of the causes of the breaking of the seventh commandment. We are sitting here, we are enjoying, and then all of a sudden we hear that this man has committed adultery with that woman. But what happened? There is something that happened which encouraged this sin. It's the woman here, in this instance, is the woman who acted in a way to encourage the attentions of the single or of the married man. This is what we are starting from this paragraph. Right, let's hear.
And those who are weak in moral power will be ensnared.
And if there is a man who is weak in moral power, will be attracted. Why? Because a woman acted in a way to attract the attention of men. Do you understand? So it means the woman did not raise the standard to make sure she does not attract men. Because obviously, she knows there are men who are going to fall for that attention. And there are men who are weak in their moral standards. They easily are attracted. And we have sometimes we have more than half of the men who are weak as pertaining to that department. Do you understand? And we had a man in the Bible, the strongest man, very pious man, called Solomon. He only erred in one area. That was the weakest point that he had, Solomon. He had a lot of concubines. How did he accumulate these concubines? And a lot of wives and concubines. You understand? How did he accumulate all that? Because he was weak on that area. In that area, that was his weakest point. Though he was very strong in building a magnificent empire. But look at what threw him to the floor. It's the women. So there are men who are weak when it comes to women. Yeah? Now let's hear more.
They encourage the attentions of single and married men, and those who are weak in moral power will be ensnared. These things, if allowed, deaden the moral senses and blind the mind so that crime does not appear sinful.
Do you understand? These things, if allowed, what are these? The attentions that are made by women to men, if allowed, if there's no one who rebukes somebody who seems to be attracting men, it needs a sharp rebuke so that it's not allowed. If not, then these things, if they are allowed, deaden the moral senses. So what is, by attracting men, what is that woman doing? Deadening the senses of the men, so that the men will fall for her. Do you understand? Now let's hear.
Thoughts are awakened that would not have been if women had kept her place in all modesty and sobriety.
So, if there are men the women who attract men, who create an attention, a situation which will make the men attend, what are they doing? First, they deaden the senses. And then next, they arouse Yeah, thoughts. They awaken thoughts in a man who wanted to serve God, but a woman is busy making sure they arouse the senses of the man to go into this sin. Do you understand? Thoughts are awakened that would not have been if the woman had kept her place in all modesty and sobriety. So why make such an abnormal action is to attract men. You understand? And by attracting men, what comes next?
Thoughts.
Deaden the thoughts.
The thoughts.
So what thoughts? The thoughts of moral standard, of maintaining the moral standard which is acceptable by God, is deadened first. And then next, what happens? They arouse, they awaken that the thoughts that would not have been if the woman would have been sober. So there is a woman who is sober, will make sure the men continue to be sober. Then there is a woman who does things to awaken, the thoughts that the men now should be aroused into committing that adultery. Do you understand? So it comes from the woman in this instance. And then what happens?
She may have had no unlawful purpose or motive herself.
Sometimes you do it as a woman without having that motive of making sure there is a breakage of a law or a crime of breaking the seventh law. Sometimes you do something not knowing this is going to lead you into that. She may have no unlawful purpose or motive herself of doing that, of making sure the sin is broken. But what happened? What she did is attracting men to do it without her awareness. Do you understand? Now let's hear.
But she has given encouragement to men who are tempted and who need all the help they can get from those associated with them.
I can take, for instance, somebody putting on a dress which is so tight that you see all the parts of her body. Sometimes she puts on that dress without knowing that she likes it. Maybe the motive was she likes the dress. And the other motive could be she could have no other dress. For instance, sometime I found somebody who was putting on a very short dress. And I said, why did you put this dress? And that person said, it's because I had no intention of putting up at this place. So this dress was there as a spare dress, and I had no other alternative, no other dress to put on except this one. So what was the reason for putting on that dress? She had no alternative. But what did the dress do? The thoughts, he says, she may not have unlawful purpose or motive herself, but she has given encouragement to men who are tempted. So what is that dress doing? There are men who are easily tempted around. That this dress is going to give encouragement to the thoughts of these men to be tempted. Do you understand? Now, and what else? Read on.
By being circumspect, reserved, taking no liberties, receiving no unwarrantable attentions, but preserving a high moral tone and becoming dignity, much evil might be avoided.
I would repeat this one so that we understand. She may not have unlawful purpose or motive herself, but she has given encouragement to men who are tempted and who need all the help they can get from those associated with them. There are men who need help. Do you understand? They need help from women. What help? To keep their brains not awakened to this crime. How? By you acting in a modest way, you help these men. There are men who need that help. But by you not uttering other sentences which will arouse those thoughts, they need the women to help them. Don't you think we have men like that? Who will need the women around them, the associates around them, to properly deal rightful with them. How rightful? By making sure they don't do anything which will arouse their senses to want to commit that crime. You understand? So we are the keepers of the men. The women are the keepers of the men. How? By acting modestly, by acting in a good, sober manner. This we do to promote the men around us, to keep them from breaking the law. Do you understand? Because we might have men who are so weak in controlling themselves. And the men who are so weak like that will have that help coming from the women around them. This is what we can do as a church, to protect the men whose senses are easily diverted into committing adultery. They need the help of the woman. Do you understand? But here it says at the end, by being circumspect. The women should be circumspect. By being circumspect, reserved. You see the conduct? Reserved when we deal with men. Not we deal with men as if these are now females like us. Talking and jesting with them, throwing this and that to men. It ceases the respect and dignity that we should maintain so that we protect them ceases. That's why it's most prominent in groups to find adultery happening. Why? They get used to each other that the respect is dissolved. They get used to each other that maintenance of who is who, which place are you or which place are you not supposed to be, it dissolves. Do you understand? If they maintain being circumspect, reserved, talking no liberties. Did you hear? How do we talk liberties? Careless talking. And then you even forget that we've got a man here who is married. You are as careless, as loose in front of that. You're talking even things that are a bit vulgar and things that will, lead people to say, why did you utter that word? Why did you utter things that are not supposed to be uttered, even in front of any human being? You are uttering in front of men who are married or those who are not even married. You are the ones, the women are the ones supposed to protect them. We are still talking about women, is it? We still come to men to see what also they can do to maintain a high moral standard. Do you understand? But here we are still talking about the women. How do we maintain a high moral standard to protect our men around? So that we are not reduced to a low level of having adultery in our midst. Now here it says, talking liberties in front of men. You're so you just utter a word which is so, somebody say, who? Why are you uttering that word? Why do you utter it in front of men? What are you trying to do? This is how you are trying to awaken their senses to want to commit adultery. And here it says, by receiving no unwarranted attentions. Don't have those unwarranted attentions. Like which ones? Oh, you look well, your suit is nice. Yeah? You're doing that to somebody's man, somebody's husband. Why are you passing that comment, which will make him feel well? Sometimes did not even hear that comment from the wife. but you are the one, uttering it. What are you trying to do? Arouse his senses to commit adultery with you. And here it's saying, but preserving a high moral tone and becoming dignity, much evil might be avoided. How do we avoid this? By making sure we maintain our moral standard. Not just joking and jesting with men that are not your husband. You pass jokes, you are jesting, you are doing all sorts of attention of what. No, don't give that attention to somebody's husband. Do you understand? If you stop that, the moral standard will continue there. If there is anything that should be done by the wife, don't do it yourself. Do you understand? Don't do it. Yeah? Like what? You are, a man is just passing by with a car and you want a lift. Where should you sit? If you are not the wife, where should you sit? At the back. And there are some men who say, no, come in front. Just show them that's not my place. My place is there at the back. But those men, those women whose senses are not up to responsibility, you find them diving in front. And they are now talking. By the time you arrived in your destination, there is a sin which has occurred already in the brain of a man or even you. You have put yourself at risk. You understand? So avoid all these appearances of evil that will arouse these senses to committing adultery. You understand? Now we are studying about the women. Let's go to 332, first paragraph there. Let's hear what Sister White says.
I have long been designing to speak to my sisters and tell them that from what the Lord has been pleased to show me from time to time, there is a great fault among them. They are not careful to abstain from the appearance of evil.
Right?
They are not all circumspect in their deportment, as becometh women professing godliness. Their words are not as select and well chosen as those of women who have received the grace of God should be.
When you are a Christian, when you have received the grace of God, then it means you have to learn to select words. There are some words we just poof, that will show men that your moral standard is not high, is low, and they easily come now to start to commit adultery with women like that. Why? You have opened up the space. You have opened up that dialogue by not selecting your proper words. So because of that, this sin of adultery comes into play. You understand? Now let's hear more on that sentence. Yeah.
They linger around them, incline toward them,
right?
And seem to choose their society. They are highly gratified with their attention.
You see, there are women who want to linger around men. Their society should be men only. What are you trying to do? What are you trying to do? You are not raising your moral standard. You're not a man. So why linger around them? Yeah? You're not a man. Your associates should be females. But why do you prefer associates to be men who are not even your husbands? So this is what Sister White is saying there. Let's hear on the next paragraph, point 2, Adventist home.
From the light which the Lord has given me, our sisters should pursue a very different course. They should be more reserved,
right?
Manifest less boldness,
right?
And encourage in themselves shamefacedness and sobriety.
Right?
Both brethren and sisters indulge in too much jovial talk.
That's another thing.
When in each other's society.
This is one of the biggest temptation when they are both men and women together. Both brethren and sisters indulge in too much jovial talk. Have you seen people with jovial talk? Oh, we are happy, we are happy. That jovial talk of both sexes together is just one thing which will encourage committing adultery. There are people who want to joke together and they want to joke with men's husbands or men that are not even their husbands. This involvement in jovial talk when in each other's society is one of the biggest temptation or sign that shows that sooner or later we will hear adultery in this group. Do you understand? Now, later on this year, women.
This is unbecoming and grieves the spirit
No,
of
no,
God.
no, you've left women professing.
Okay. Women professing godliness indulge in much jesting, joking, and laughing.
Laughing. This laughing like, you know, in Shona they call it nzenza. Unzenza. Encouraging people to laugh like, I don't know what we can say nzenza in English, you know. That laughter which degrades you, which shows that the senses now are not together. That's the laughter which encourages the sin of adultery. Do you understand? Yeah, that's what we are reading. That's what we are reading. And then you cry when adultery occurs, when you are involved in these jovial laughters, jovial conversations and laughters. It says the women professing godliness indulge in much jesting, joking, laughing. Yeah? Even God does not support that. It says, these exhibitions, this is unbecoming. You know, you tell people that this is not the way to conduct yourself in public. They don't understand. They think it's happiness. Which age are you? Oh, this is our generation. This is what you are encouraging the breaking of the seventh law. This joking, jovial, jesting, laughing. This is unbecoming and grieves the spirit. That's what Sister White says. Read it. This is unbecoming, yeah?
This is unbecoming
Right?
and grieves the Spirit of God.
Right. It's not everyone who is laughing and jovial and joking there. Senzenza. You understand in Shona, senzenza. Who is going to be trapped? But there's one who is going to be trapped into adultery because it has gone too far, too much. You're creating problems for yourself. You understand? Now here it says, this is unbecoming. Laughing as if people were asking, are you still married? Is it how a married woman laughs? Is it what, sooner or later, the seventh commandment will be broken? You laugh until everyone sees your tummy moving up and down in front of men. And you think this adultery is not going to occur. It will occur because there's nothing left when you are in that exhibition. Let's hear what in these exhibitions, listen to that.
These exhibitions reveal a lack of true Christian refinement.
There is no refinement in these laughters. There is no refinement when you're so jovial, you want to show people you are happy, you are the best of best in the world, you are the whatever. These exhibitions reveal a lack of true Christian refinement. A true Christian who is refined will not have that. Will not have that. That is one sign to show the Spirit of God is not reigning. When you are in this type of laughters, which even people will say, are they still married? Are they still married women, these ones? Or are they big girls, really? You laugh as if you are the kindergartens. Laugh as if you are, you're inviting trouble. You're inviting trouble. Let's hear more. They do not strengthen. Listen to that.
They do not strengthen the soul in God.
So what are they doing, these laughters? What are these laughters doing? A woman who is married laughing like that, yeah, in front of men, what are you inviting? Trouble? Is this going to help you spiritually? It says, they do not strengthen the soul in God. God even runs away from you. They don't strengthen the soul in God, but bring great darkness. You are used to these laughters and jovial talks of of just making sure we are enjoying. Where there's forums, where are you going? It's not invitation for the Holy Spirit of God. Not even one. You are inviting darkness around you. And when your man, maybe we are so many partners together, when your man goes out with another woman, or when another woman takes your man, or you also take someone's woman, it's not questionable. It's your conduct contributes to that. It's a conduct which it said you should be shamefaced, reserved, dignified, sober. Yeah? Conduct yourself in front of other men, other people, in a sober, shamefaced manner, in a manner which will promote a high standard, high moral standard. You will never see this sin coming into your presence. You understand? So also check on yourself to see if this sin comes amongst you as a group or as a family. Also, check how you conduct yourself. Where you think you are happy and yet you are off the track. Check. And it says here, they do not strengthen the soul in God, but bring great darkness. And the next sentence,
they drive
away the
pure, refined, heavenly angels, and bring those who engage in these wrongs down to a low level.
When they practice this jovialness or this, I don't think whether it's happiness or so, whether I practice it, but one thing it's going to do is going to chase all the heavenly angels, and you are left to the buffeting of the devil. And when adultery occurs in your area, you are promoting it. You are promoting it. Whoever will go into, because you are lowering the standard of moral courage. Yeah. First, it's your society around you. You are teaming up as men and women. And in that society, you are promoting, lowering the standard for nothing. Chasing the angels away. And then when adultery occurs, don't blame anyone. Don't blame anyone. Blame yourself for lowering the standard. Don't blame anyone. Now, this is what we should do as Christians. When we come together, promote high moral standard. Shun from these laughters, these jovial talks, these undignified talks. Promote sobriety, promote dignity, high standard, especially when you see men of the opposite sex, be it a husband to your friend or a husband to what, that will happen if you do not maintain a high standard. And don't blame anyone, blame your attitudes. And here, let's hear AH 333.1.
Women are too often tempters.
Right. In this sin, Sister White says women are too often the tempters. Yeah. Women do that. They are often is women. Often. This is what we are here. It's women who do it. That's what Sister White says. Yeah. Women are too often tempters. Yeah? Listen to what we are going to read.
On one pretense,
right,
or another, they engage the attention of men, married or unmarried,
you see how,
and lead them on till they transgress the law of God.
Right. Daily, they engage in attention to the men, tempting that man, leading them bit by bit until they finish. The first thing is the attention. Yeah, I walk in here with my husband, and you greet me like an ordinary person. Okay, that's fine. But when you go to my husband, I just look at you and say, what are you trying to do? Attract my husband. You say, so such actions are the ones that cause adultery.
Yeah, sure.
Why didn't you say to me instead of, why you seem so jovial and so happy to see the man than the wife. Yeah? So they attract that attention, and the men will say, so I mean a lot to this woman. Yeah? I mean a lot. Yeah? So, on one pretext or another, they engage the attention of the men, married or not married, yeah, and lead them on till they transgress the law of God, till their usefulness is ruined. And when a man is attracted that way, until he commits adultery, usefulness is gone. You may try to say, I know, it's like a license. A license, when you are driving the car, once the police confiscate your license, it does not mean you can't drive.
No.
You drive, but we have no license. The license is gone. What took your license?
Carelessness.
You were careless. You were trapped. You have been told the women can trap you, and you allowed them to trap you. You did allow. We are going to go in the section of the men and see how they also conduct themselves to this, they contribute to this breakage of the seventh law. But here we are talking about women at this time. And Sister White says, women are always the ones, often the ones responsible for the transgression of this law. Which is true.
That's true.
And it says, they attract the attention of the men, they get their interest. When we meet as brethren, it does not mean that we should hate each other. But there is a brethren that is very lovely, handsome, but is somebody's husband. That's it.
That's it.
Whether it's very likable, but it is somebody's husband. Then what they do, because somebody is likable, they get closer to that one and give more attention to that likable somebody. Bit by bit until that person, if it is a minister, until the minister breaks the law. And what have you done? You have taken the license off. Done.
Yeah.
And some people can say, okay, you can revive it. It's terrible. It's very hard to revive trust from the people. Once people lose trust on you, that job is done. Once the trust is gone, it is gone. The job is done. You were careless, you did not mind that you have a very precious job from God. And the license is the trust. When I am preaching to you right now, what I earn most is the trust.
Yes.
And that trust, if it's gone, whether I try to thick and thin, it's gone. It's hard to take it back. It's hard. That's why we should be very circumspect. Because once you lose that influence, whether you try to grab it, like you're like a driver now, driving a car without a license. It's gone. It's to restore that trust and influence back. It takes miles and miles and things, and so many things for you to have that trust back, which was there before you committed adultery. Do you understand? Now here it says, on one pretense or another, they engage the attention of men. You understand? Married or unmarried, and lead them on till they transgress the law of God, till their usefulness is ruined. Yeah? And their souls are in jeopardy. But who caused that? It's a woman. According to this paragraph, it's the woman. Yeah? And then, listen to the next sentence, yeah?
If women would only elevate their lives and become workers with Christ, there would be less danger through their influence.
Right.
But with their present feelings of unconcern in regard to home responsibilities and in regard to the claims that God has upon them, their influence is often strong in the wrong direction. Their powers are dwarfed and their work does not bear the divine impress.
We see a minister preaching good sermons. We like the minister, isn't it? Because he preaches good sermons. But let it end there. Let it end there. Some like until they lure this minister until this minister breaks the law. They've taken off the license. Taken off the license. But how do we prevent that? If we end there and not give undue attention to that minister, help the minister to work for God. You also get yourself, elevate your character, elevate your moral standard, elevate your usefulness also to God, so that you meet as brethren working for God. Not you like someone until you even want to sleep with him at home. That's how your love ends. Is it not what happens? Because so many times the ministers, they preach good sermons that we end up loving that minister. Somebody who preaches well, you love that person, isn't it? You can go online and see good ministers who preach well. The thing is that they're lovable, isn't it?
Yeah.
But let's end there. Let's not love that person until we are now fond of that person. We now want, when we come in, we just want to greet this person, not nobody else. Our attention is on that person until that person is done. It's the women. They can do that. The women can do that. The women. That's why most ministers, when they are trained, they are told to know how to avoid these eyes of women who want to cause you to trample on the seventh commandment. And most ministers who are not very careful, they go down the drain that way. You understand? Now let's hear the next paragraph, point 2 AH 333.2, right?
There are so many forward misses and bold forward women who have a faculty of insinuating themselves into notice, putting themselves in the company of young men, courting their attentions, inviting flirtations from married or unmarried men, that unless your face is set Christward, firm as steel, you will be drawn into Satan's net.
You see, there are so many forward women. The women who are dressed only to catch attention of men. Forward. Who don't do nothing to protect these men. They only come in with traps to trap the men. He says their face, is not set to Christward. It's set only to lure the men. They have no responsibility at all in the word of God. They don't care how much they can cause even men to tremble in the name of God. They are forward women like that. Let's hear the next paragraph. Point 3.
As Christ's ambassadors, I entreat you who profess present truth to promptly resent any approach to impurity and forsake the society of those who breathe an impure suggestion.
There are people who breathe an impure suggestion. You hear from the words. You hear from whatever. You know what happens when you have a problem with your husband and you still want to build your marriage, to protect your marriage. You always know where to go. There are people who, when they have problems like that with their husband, They choose a society of people who have nothing to do with marriages. Nothing, who are even strongly against marriages. What are you doing? What are you trying to do? You're trying to break your own marriage. Yeah? So here it says, as Christ's ambassador, I entreat you who profess present truth to promptly resent any approach to impurity and forsake the society of those who breathe an impure suggestion. There is suggestion which are impure. Have you heard suggestion impure? Somebody will suggest to you, your husband is promiscuous. You also do the same. That's very impure. That's impure suggestion. Have you heard suggestions that are impure? There are people who breathe these suggestions that are impure, who tell you that, you're still young. Show him also you can do it. There are people like that, they are breathing an impure suggestion. Look for people who will build you, who will make sure you look to Christ, who will make sure you uphold the standards of women, whether your husband is promiscuous or not. The woman who looks to Christ will make sure the marriage bond continues.
Amen.
Continues until God himself sought the marriage to be pure together with that husband.
Yes.
Now, these are just a few quotations to help the woman. If that will help the woman, to help the man. You understand? It's the men that we should help. It's the way we dress. It's the way we put our makeup. It's the way we utter our words which are well chosen that will protect these men. You understand? It's the way we conduct ourselves that will make sure these men are protected. Now let's go to the moral standards for men. They also need to raise a high moral standard.
Yes.
They also need. They shouldn't always think, if you are a man, you're susceptible to adultery. They shouldn't think of that.
No.
They need an upright life as well. They've got flesh and blood, much as the women have flesh and blood.
Amen.
They are even stronger than women. They should maintain this moral standard more boldly. They shouldn't be accusing women to say, it's the way they were dressed, because they were dressed like this, that's why I did it. No, they should play a most important role to make sure that sin is not committed. Now let's hear what happens then with men. We want to understand what happens with men. Let's go to AH again. Adventist Home 330.2.
The mind of a man or a woman does not come down in a moment from purity and holiness to depravity.
Right. One thing is, when you are pure, when you are maintaining a holy standard, it's very hard to come down.
Yeah.
This is what we have done. It's very hard to commit adultery. You don't just come down that easy. Once your standard is very high in the things of God, you don't just go down and now today you are caught up with someone's wife or you are caught up with a concubine. You don't just do that as easy as that. Once your standard is high. Yeah? Like it was with Joseph. Yeah, good suggestion. Joseph in the house of the ruler of Egypt, Pharaoh, was a handsome guy. And the wife of Pharaoh liked Joseph or loved Joseph. Preferred Joseph better than her husband. But Joseph had a high moral standard. Very high. Compare Joseph to David. David was worse off. David was worse off. You see, we have an example in the Bible of a man who was of high piety. Yeah? A pious man whose mind was always anchored on God. That was Joseph. When the wife saw there was a privilege now for Joseph and her to commit adultery, Joseph refused. God knows how many times he was refusing in that house. And you see, it doesn't just happen once. The wife continues to weak, continues to do all sorts of mannerisms to attract Joseph. But Joseph was making sure I won't be part of it. I won't be. How did he maintain that moral standard? How did he ever do that? What he did is not what David did. David didn't do that. David just fell off when he saw a naked woman bathing, and he forgot all about God and went into sin. That was David. But Joseph didn't do that. His mind was anchored in the principles of God. He was serving a living God. He did not just go down like that. You understand? Now, until Pharaoh's wife said, I will physically hold him. And he made sure the jacket that he was putting on is the one that the wife will remain with. The wife, very angry that she did that to a man, and the man actually ran away and left her holding the jacket, used the jacket as evidence that he wanted to rape him. He wanted to rape. You know, when you are about to commit the sin of adultery, you are a liar as well. She lied that Joseph wanted to rape her. She lied because it was not natural what Joseph had done. A man running away from a woman who's now saying, now, sleep with me now, and you run away. That was not natural. The natural thing was that, one, this is the ruler's wife. It will give you more benefits to be in love with this person. Yeah, that was the natural thing. And what is the natural thing? The natural thing is the woman to run away from the man. But instead, it's the opposite which happened. Why did Joseph do that? His mind was up. And it all concludes that the mind of a man or a woman does not come down in any moment from purity and holiness to depravity and corruption. It does not just come down like that.
No.
It does not. When I am professing holiness right now, you show me to somebody to commit adultery with, I'll tell you off. I'm not that type. I'll tell you off. Why? Because it's not as easy as that. Do you understand? Now here, let's say, let's hear the next sentence. It takes what?
It takes time to transform the human to the divine, or to degrade those formed in the image of God to the brutal of Satanic.
It takes time for a man to start committing adultery when that man was pious. There are steps to go down the drain. It does not come. You might be tempted, but as long as you are anchored above, that temptation won't do anything because you are there. But then how does the man then come from there to there? From high to low? How? It takes time to do that. So if you hear any adultery amongst us, know for sure it took time. It took time. If that person was really pious with God, it took a journey. There was a journey that that person followed. Huh?
Yeah.
Right, let's hear. It takes time to transform the human to the divine, or to degrade those formed in the image of God to the brutal or the satanic. Right? Listen to that.
By beholding, we become changed.
Right. So if with Joseph, he refused to sleep with Pharaoh's wife. But if that incident continued, day in, day out, Pharaoh's wife is still winking. Pharaoh's wife winking at him, holding him. If that continued, what was going to happen to Joseph? He was going to succumb to it. So it says it does not happen overnight. That, oh, I caught him with my husband. I caught her with my husband. And then you think, oh, it's just happened. And the husband, no, will start telling you that, no, you know what? It was because that day you were not there, that's why. That's a lie. Because it doesn't happen all of a sudden. Never. It takes a period, a century to do it. This is what we read from the scripture. It says, it takes time to transform from an angel of light to an angel of the darkness. It takes time.
Amen.
It takes a journey. You walk steps to it. Now let's hear how it goes. Read on.
Though formed in the image of his maker,
Right?
man can so educate his mind that sin which he once loathed will become pleasant to him.
Right? We are formed in the image of God. But if there was a sin which I once loathed, sin you once loathed will become pleasant to him. How? Let's hear.
As he ceases to watch and pray.
Right, the very first thing. When your husband falls into a trap, or when your wife falls into a trap, or when your daughter falls into a trap, or your son falls into a trap, know for sure it did not originate from the woman or from the man. Where did it originate from? From himself or from herself. How? The moment he ceased to watch and pray, that's when the sin started. Did you see it? Did you hear that? Don't be fooled that it was this woman who tempted me, or it was this man who tempted me. That's a fool. That's a full statement. It was you. It was you who committed the adultery. Where did it start? It started in your head when you stopped to watch and pray. That's where it begins. I've said the sin starts in the head. But how does it start in the head? You stopped to watch and pray. Huh? So do not hear people coming and say, and your husband, my husband comes to me wanting me to accept him. I'll take him as an innocent person. And say that woman, if that woman didn't come to my husband, no. He's lying. It started with him. He stopped to watch and pray.
Yes.
That's why that woman came. We are all enticed everywhere. We set our eyes. We find someone is trying to lure you. Everyone is being tempted. But as long as I'm watching and praying, that person won't go over me.
Yes.
Don't go and lie to people that it was this one and that one. It's like Adam lying that it is this woman. He stopped to watch and pray. That's where things start. You will always have this sin as long as people stop to watch and pray. In a setup, or in a group, or in a church. Where does this sin start from? From the brain. Yeah? It's the brain who starts devising those plans of getting someone to commit adultery with. It's the brain. But how did the brain get into that state? He stopped to watch and pray, or she stopped to watch and pray. Both of them stopped to watch and pray. If they were watching and praying, that shouldn't have happened. Let's stop accusing people It's this one, and then you have a heap of people who say this one, I think it's that one, and then those are on your side is saying it's that one, and that one is saying also it's that one. It is you, your head.
Yeah.
That's when you stop to watch and pray. Don't accuse those people who are still watching and praying and not committing adultery like you are doing. You are the one who started it.
Yes.
You let go of God. It's you. You start it. And as long as you don't know where it is starting from, you will continue to start to do it elsewhere. Because the problem is you should know, you should have what is called a root cause analysis. Where is this cause? It is in a brain which has stopped watching and praying. Finish. If we continue watching and praying to God, that thing won't come. Never. You know, someone was saying, I'm sending my child to a girls' boarding school so that it does not commit adultery. You're wasting your time. On holiday, he comes and mixes with men. And someone, I'm sending my husband to a men only so that it does not commit adultery. You are joking. When he comes on holiday, he will meet the other opposite sex. But it is, when you want your men not to sin, make sure the man is encouraged to watch and pray. Finish. If you want to solve that problem, watch and pray. If you are not watching, this is what Joseph did. He was watching and praying. That's why Pharaoh's wife did not get any eminence to that man. He would leave the jacket instead. Because his soul was watching and praying, was anchored above by watching and praying. Making sure God is reigning in the heart. You run away for dear life, running from the wife who wanted to make sure they commit adultery. Right? Why didn't your husband run away? Because he was not watching and praying. Why didn't your wife run away? Because she was not watching and praying. That's where it is. So let's stop accusing other people and having a spool of enemies, making just all surrounding one person who has done a crime. It's the person who is to blame. When you go to God, God will just blame the person who has sinned, not other people. The person who has sinned, right? Now let's hear here. By beholding, we become changed. Though formed in the Maker's image. There is a sin we were doing before we were Christians. We enjoyed those sins. When you stop watching and praying, those sins start. They start. Let's not go about thinking, oh, they have done this to me. Oh, they have let me commit adultery. They have made me. Who are those they? It's you. It's you. You did not watch and pray. Finish. It's not somebody. And the enticers, we were told the women are the ones who entice more, isn't it? They are enticing everyone. But it's you who did not watch and pray. The men also entice everyone. Huh? But here, the females are there. They're watching and praying. Finish. End of story. Now let's hear more. Let's hear.
Though formed,
as he ceases to watch and pray. That's
as he ceases to watch and pray, he ceases to guard the citadel, the heart, and engages in sin.
That's what happens. Once you cease to watch and pray, the next step comes. What is it? You cease to guard the citadel, the heart. The heart is not guarded. It's left unfenced. Yeah. No. If there is no fence in the home, the animals come and eat everything. Because there is no fence, no gate, nothing. Why? Because you have stopped watching and praying, and the gate is now open for everyone, free for business with you. It's you. And the Bible says, if there is a sin, all other sin you can sin against others. If you steal, you are sinning against others. If you break the Sabbath, you're sinning against God. But there's one sin you sin against yourself. It's the seventh law.
Yeah.
You sin against you. You know, when you see people who are ill, sometimes they contract diseases because of transgression of the seventh law. What have they done? They've sinned against their own body. You understand? There's only one sin in the Bible that says that sin, when you do it, you sin against your own body.
Your own soul.
Your own soul is corrupted. Yeah? It has corrupted you. Yeah? And taken your license. If you are a minister, the license to preach is gone. Why? Because you cannot preach without trust from the people who are listening. The people who are listening should trust you when you preach. And it's hard to get it back. Yeah? Do you understand? It says here, as he ceases to watch and pray, he ceases to guard the citadel, the heart, and engages in sin and crime. Once you don't guard the heart, because you cease to watch and pray, the heart is not guarded. And what comes next? The crime and the sin of adultery. We are now floating into it without even a headache about it. Yes. That's why it says it's not easy for someone who is pious to commit adultery.
Yes.
Not see. There's something that happens first. You stop watching and pray. Next, what happens? You have opened the fence of the heart. Anything comes in. And next, what happens? You now commit the sin. You commit adultery as in someone who sees you. You're somebody to preach. Why are you doing this?
Committing the broad daylight.
It's because the fence of the heart is opened. Because someone who is not watching and praying. Then next you go down the drain and blaming this one and blaming others for doing your sin. It says here, the mind is the best.
The mind is debased, and it is impossible to elevate it from corruption while it is being educated to enslave the moral and intellectual powers and bring them in subjection to the grosser passions.
Do you see what is happening now? The mind is the best. Yeah? If you see somebody preaching until people cry of their sins, but is preaching, and then sometimes you hear that person, the very moment he was preaching, was engaged in this sin. Run for dear life. Run for dear life. It's somebody who can kill you without you noticing. Run for dear life. It's somebody who can show you something that you believe while it is the opposite in the heart. Run for dear life. You see somebody telling you that I love you dearly. It's like a man who has got 2 wives or who has got more wives. You know what he tells this wife? You are the only one. And tells the next one, you are the only one. And tells the next one, you are the only one. And the wives who believe that man saying you are the only one when he has got the only one there and the only one there. The wives who believe that are like stupid children. Huh? Is it? Yeah. Stupid children. What do you think he does when he's got the other wife? Say the same words. The same words. It's the people who are used to showing this while the other side is that side. They tell you that we have so much deal, we are the best of people when it's the West. In reality. You understand? So this hypocrisy starts when the mind is corrupted. It's the best. That's the best hypocrisy and corrupt. That you don't even now start to believe, because you say, once this was happening, when this is what I enjoyed, a sermon like this, Elder Mashir is preaching like this, but instead you hear that very night when I'm preaching this, that very night I was with someone committing adultery. Would you ever trust me? Would you ever? Now it says here, the mind is the best, and it is impossible to elevate it from corruption. If you train your mind that way, that you can work with these sins, making sure you're breaking deliberately, knowing you are breaking, but doing the other way, taking the communion, eternal life, 3rd hour, 9th hour, then that sin continues. To elevate that mind from that corruption. This is what Sister White is saying. It is not to elevate it from corruption while it is being educated to enslave the moral and the intellectual powers and bring them into subjection to grosser passions. But at the same time, I want to praise God. I want to preach about God. I want to worship God. The mind is there. But at the same time, that mind is being told to debase, to enslave. Do you know what? Enslave the moral senses. Because when you are preaching, the mind is telling you that, what about? What about this? What about that? What about that? So what are you doing to the mind? You're suppressing it, enslaving it. Don't tell me about yesterday. Don't tell me about what is happening tonight. Don't tell me about, let me preach only. Don't tell me that. It's enslaving moral. It's a terrible situation. It's a terrible situation. Yeah. The only thing we need is to stay watching and praying so that we don't debase our minds. And it says, it is being educated, the mind is being educated to enslave the moral, intellectual powers and bring them into subjection to grosser passions. The moral powers are being brought into subjection with that sin which you are committing. You understand? But the moral powers are trying to tell you that, you can't be talking about purity of God when we are having these lower passions that are being, these sins that we are practicing. But you are enslaving that thought. You are enslaving it so that you continue in hypocrisy. See that hypocrisy? Serious hypocrisy. Listen to that. It's a constant war. Go to the next sentence.
Constant war against the carnal mind must be maintained.
So what that person does is, one mind wants to serve God, while the other mind wants to continue with the baser passions. So he is in a constant war against a carnal mind. And this constant war must be maintained. When we go to the airport, to go to Israel, to go to worship in the feast, my duty is now to maintain that constant war, to make sure my moral standards are not pricking me to say, what are we doing? What are we doing? So continue with that war of pleasing God and debasing the moral standard, enslaving. What a war. What a war.
Hard work.
How can you worship God that way? You rather just go out and enjoy life with the heathens there. Go and enjoy, so that when you finish and you're exhausted, you come. If there's still time for you, then fight such a war in front of God. Constant war against the carnal mind must be maintained. You want to maintain such a war when you are worshiping God. It does not even please God to worship while you are enslaving these debased sins. Yeah? These, I don't know what I can do to, what the proper word I can say to say. You are sitting on them, making sure they are well maintained, they are well suppressed, they are well enslaved, whilst you are doing God's business. And when after that you take them back, you enjoy them. What a constant war is that? Because when you are committing adultery, it does not start from where you were pious. it's a journey down. You stop watching and praying. Next, what do you do after you stop watching and praying? You now make sure you cultivate this corruption. And make sure now your duty now is you are in a war. There is corruption in the heart. To make sure now, how do I go back to that high standard? I'm now in a corrupt standard. But I still want the high standard. You want both things. A mind which has two things. Huh? A mind which has two things kills the owner.
Yes. Yeah.
Because the owner is in trouble. It does not kill everyone. It kills the owner. Because you are in constant war with yourself. Your inner self. Now it says here, constant war. Repeat that one and let's proceed there.
Constant war against the carnal mind must be maintained.
Right?
And we must be aided by the refining influence of the grace of God, which will attract the mind upward and habituate it to meditate upon pure and holy things.
You need something that will make sure it uplifts your mind upward. You understand? And stay up. Huh? This is your help that God will bring if you want God to help. You need something that will take your mind from that corruption and put it high. Huh? And stay there. How? By constant meditation, by prayer, by Bible study, by making sure you've got good, sound friends who encourage you, by making sure you stay in an atmosphere which promotes you to worship God.
Amen.
Otherwise, it will be hard.
Possible.
It will be hard to be a Christian. It will be hard. Now it says here, AH 331. We are on men. It's not females now, it's men. I can see men here, they are so, awakened. Wake up. This is what you need, men. Stay put. Watch and pray. Otherwise, constantly, we will never take a broom to sweep all women so that they are not there so that you worship God. No. You will worship God amidst all these attractions around you, but stay put with watching and praying.
Amen.
Some say, I will solve it by staying at home. Let me stay at home so that we don't see women. You're joking. You forget you also need to go to work. Or you also need to go to society and meet with the same thing. When you are not anchored with watching and praying, you still commit adultery everywhere you go. Everywhere. You can't solve it that way. That's being stupid actually to solve it that way. By some people, they say they are solving it by putting children in unisex schools or in unisex for males or for females or whatever. So that no, you overcome that by making sure you teach them to watch and pray and make sure they stay there. That's how you overcome. You can't overcome trouble that way. By selecting yourself and saying, let me keep my eyes watching here, not watching there. You are just wasting your time. It's foolish. The only thing you can do is to promote watch and prayer. That's it. And stop all the things that promote it. Jovialness for nothing. Loose talk. Thinking you are enjoying for nothing, that will chase all the angels and you remain doing what you are supposed to be doing when you don't watch and pray. You know where to go. Corruption. Yeah? And next is sin. You are off the track. How did you lose it? How did you lose the track? Now let's go to AH 331.1. Do we understand this? Is this something that we need to know? Yes, we need to know it. Because the road is very hard when you lose the track. It's hard. And this war, which we have been told that the war in the heart It's very hard when you are not watching and praying, and you are engaged in a sin, and it's hard to leave the sin, and also it's hard to worship. But the only thing is that go back to watch and pray, and stay there. Right? Here it says there is no safety.
There is no safety for any man, young or old, unless he feels the necessity of seeking God for counsel at every step. Those only who maintain close communion with God will learn to place his estimate upon men, to reverence the pure, the good, the humble, and the meek.
Those only who maintain close communion with God will learn to place his estimate upon men, to reverence the pure, the good, the humble, the meek. And what?
The heart must be garrisoned as was that of Joseph.
Right. You see what was in Joseph? It was a heart which was garrisoned, properly knit with purity, for him to maintain that standard in Pharaoh's house. The heart needs to be ironed together with purity. Right? And what?
Then temptations to depart from integrity will be met with decision. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?
Right.
Yeah.
If you have a heart which tells you when you want to do something wrong, a heart which says, how will you do that in front of God? That's the heart which is garrisoned as Joseph's heart. That's what we are looking for. That's what we are looking for. And the
strongest temptation is no excuse for sin.
Right. How many times we have excuse for sins? Oh, it's because of that. Oh, it's because if this didn't happen, if this. And I can see many people making excuses. Oh, this happened because of this. There is no other excuse. The only thing is that your heart was not with God. Finish. You are not watching and praying. Finish. There's no other excuse. You can mention a long list of excuses. The only excuse, the only reason why it happened is your mind was away from God. Finish. No matter how
severe the pressure brought to bear upon you, sin is your own act. The seat of the difficulty is the unrenewed heart.
Right. It's called a seat of the difficulty. What is the meaning of sin? It's a seat. A seat where you sit on a difficulty. Is it difficult? Yes. What you're going to eat, you cannot control the consequences. You will never be in charge of the consequences. They come. Someone will say this, someone will say that. You will never control what comes next. You are in a seat of difficulties now. Yeah? It says, no matter how severe the pressure brought to bear upon you, sin is your own act. Who brought this? It's you who acted that sin. It's no one. Don't blame even the woman or don't blame even the man. It's you. You did it. If someone wants to entice me into adultery, I'm not going to blame that person who enticed me.
No.
I will blame myself for coming off the watch of God. It's me. Let's learn to know where to bear the responsibility. It's not in so and so or somebody or whatever. You start hating people, hate this one for bringing that sin. It's you. You did it. You are sitting on a seat of difficulties. Huh? Is it? Now, let's go to 335.1 AH. Still.
I am pained when I see men praised.
This is what happens to them when the women want you to sin. to commit adultery, you know what they do? They praise you, they flatter you, and pet. That's what women do when they want you to commit that sin. You are not, and you love it. Men love it, love to be petted. You know that? They love to be petted, to be like, you know the small dogs. When you pet them, they wiggle their tail, they wiggle, and the men who wiggle their tails when someone who is not your wife is petting you and flattering, you are wiggling, you are going into sin. They love it, these men. They love it. But Sister White says, I'm pained when I see men. Listen to that.
God has revealed to me the fact that some who receive these attentions are unworthy to take his name upon their lips.
Right. And some who receive these pettings and these flattering, they are unworthy to take his name upon their lips. Listen to that.
Yet they are exalted to heaven in the estimation of finite beings who read only the outward appearance. My sisters, never pet and flatter poor, fallible, erring men, either young or old, married or unmarried.
Don't do that.
You know not.
Don't pet any man. Sisters, do not flatter or pet any man, neither be it married or single, young or old. Don't do that. It's the spirit of prophet saying that. AH page 335. Don't do that.
You know not their weakness.
You don't know the weakness of any man you are petting.
And you know not but that these very attentions and this profuse praise may prove their ruin.
The praise that you are doing and the petting that you are doing can prove their ruin. You ruin somebody so that it does not enter the kingdom.
I am alarmed at the short-sightedness, the want of wisdom that many manifest in this respect.
Right. Don't you see women want to flatter men and the men enjoy being flattered and they want the jovial and laughing and you are causing a problem. You've got a problem. You're causing a problem. Go to AH 335.2. We are starting from our own books, Adventist Home, from our own books to teach us morality. Right, listen.
Men who are doing God's work and who have Christ abiding in their hearts will not lower the standard of morality, but will ever seek to elevate it. They will not find pleasure in the flattery of women or in being petted by them.
Right?
Let men, both single and married, say, hands off, I will never give the least occasion that my good should ever be evil spoken of. My good name is capital of far more value to me than gold or silver.
Those who are worshiping God, who want to maintain holiness and piety, should work very hard for their names not to be mentioned in an evil way. Let those who mention my name, mention it because I worship God, but not because I'm loose or because I've committed adultery. It will be mentioned all over, far and near. You won't control who mentions it because you have done it. Now listen to that.
Let me preserve it untarnished.
Preserve your name untarnished. Because boy, when it's tarnished, that's another big war. You want it to be very easy. And someone will say, oh, I've been baptized. I've gone into the River Jordan and I've been baptized and all is well now. Nobody should talk about me. You don't control the mouths of the people. Let it take its own course. It will take its own course, whether I like it or not. That's why you shouldn't have done it. Listen to that.
Because if men assail that name, it shall not be because I have given them occasion to do so,
Right.
but for the same reason that they spoke evil of Christ.
Let, if they have to speak evil of me, they should do the way they did to Christ. Christ did not do any wrong, but they spoke evil of him. That's it. Let them not speak evil of me because of what I have done, a sin that I have transgressed. Guard your names so that they are not spoken of like that. Huh? You will be checking, did you meet so and so? What did he say? Did you, what? Why? That's why you should have not done it. Now listen, read on.
Because they hated the purity and holiness of his character, for it was a constant rebuke to them.
Right?
Next paragraph.
Next paragraph.
The slightest insinuations from whatever source they may come, inviting you to indulge in sin or to allow the least unwarrantable liberty with your persons, should be resented as the worst of insults to your dignified womanhood.
Now, if you see any insinuation coming to cause you into sin, should be the worst thing that you should resent. Because once it's done its job, you cannot control what happens next. You understand? Yeah. The kiss.
The kiss upon the cheek
Right?
at an improper time and place.
This is what can happen to you. Someone just comes with a kiss on your cheek at an improper time. It is an improper time. You are only left alone, the two of you, and comes to kiss your cheek. That's not proper. It's proper when it's done in front of everyone. But when you are only on your cheek, it's improper. It's an improper time. Right? And the kiss on your cheek.
The kiss upon your cheek at an improper time and place should lead you to repel the emissary of Satan with disgust.
You are now watching Satan coming. You should see somebody, a foe coming to destroy your name. Right? And
If it is from one in high places who is dealing in sacred things, the sin is of tenfold greater magnitude and should lead a God-fearing woman or youth to recoil with horror, not only from the sin he would have you commit, but from the hypocrisy and villainy of one whom the people respect and honor as God's servant.
if you are a God's servant, or a minister, isn't it? It says the sin comes as a tenfold. You say, why me? Yeah, because you are in the office. We are in the office of the righteous. Yeah? You are in a high mountain, a light on top of a mountain. That sin committed by a minister who is on a big mountain. You should consider one, there are many people watching that mountain. Many people are watching besides God alone and angels. Many people are watching. That's why it comes as tenfold. You know, sometimes the commoner is better. Because people say, oh no, come on, get up, you're fallen, get up. Yeah. And they forget about it. They will treat it, oh no. But not when a minister has done it. It becomes tenfold. Why? Why is it tenfold? It says, if it is from one in high places who is dealing in sacred things, because you are breaking the law that you are the one making sure is kept. You are broadcasting that law and you are breaking it. That's why it's tenfold. And it is tenfold if it is from one in high place who is dealing in sacred things. The sin is tenfold greater, of greater multitude, and should lead a God-fearing woman or youth to recoil with horror. You should have screamed. Instead of doing it, you should scream. Say, I'm in a sacred box. Scream with horror. You understand? Not only from the sin he would have you commit, but from the hypocrisy of villainy of one whom the people respect and honor as God's servants. People are respecting you as a servant of God. And what the hell are you doing? What are you doing? You forget all those things. You forget all those things and think you are enjoying. The consequences are tenfold. Then you wonder why. It's because you're in a sacred place. You're in a high mountain. Everyone saw the high mountain. And the mountain is high there. Everybody sees it.
Yes.
Not only one country, many countries will view it. Yeah. Yeah. And the fall is harder. Because you are high. The fall is very, very harder. You understand? Why? Because there's a lot of respect which you have been earning from people. And that respect has been destroyed to nothing. And there are some people who can even say, I'm no longer going to worship God because of you. It's tenfold harder. You want it to be as easy? It's not easy. It's not easy. There is a benefit of staying put, watching and praying. There is a strong benefit. And if you forget to watch and pray, the consequences tenfold. Get ready for the consequences. They are very much. And here, how careful then? Let's hear.
How careful should the husband and father be to maintain his loyalty to his marriage vows?
How careful then should you be to maintain your loyalty to the marriage vows? If this is what it brings, it destroys families. It destroys nations. It destroys churches. If you are not careful with your marriage vow. How careful then? Yeah. When I preach here on BSM TV, everybody's watching me. I'm known by people I don't even know. And if I commit adultery, the whole people who know me from all four corners of the world will be disgusted. Disgusted. Don't say why. Don't say why. Because you're in a high mountain. You're disgusting. You should be very careful. You should have been careful. It's not the blame of people talking. No, it's blame of you. You are the one to be blamed. Blame yourself. Now here, let's hear. How careful?
How careful should the husband and father be to maintain his loyalty to his marriage vows?
Right?
How circumspect should be his character,
right?
Lest he shall encourage thoughts in young girls or even in married women that are not in accordance to the high holy standard, the commandments of God.
Right. So when God sets you on high to be a preacher or to be somebody who leads people into righteousness, He has set an example for people to follow. Children, girls, boys, married women, married men, they should learn from you. This is how it is. That's why you should be very careful. Now, let's hear more.
Those commandments Christ shows to be exceedingly broad, reaching even the thoughts, intents, and purposes of the heart. Here is where many are delinquent.
Right?
Their heart imaginings are not of the pure, holy character which God requires, and however high their calling, however talented they may be, God will mark iniquity against them and will count them as far more guilty and deserving of his wrath than those who have less talent, less light, less influence.
Right. You see how God sees us? It's like when you're a policeman and you offend. You are treated worse than a common person. This is how God also treats somebody who is in a sacred desk and doing the others, the opposite. Yeah? This is where people falter, thinking that they should be dealt with like any common person. No. God does not deal with us that way. To married men.
To married men, I am instructed to say, it is to your wives, the mothers of your children, that your respect and affection
are
are
due
due.
to married men. It is to your wives, the mothers of your children. He has to stress that from somebody who does not know what a wife is. It's the mother of your children.
Yeah.
That your respect and affection are due, not to someone's wife
No.
or someone, a woman outside there who will share that affection with your wife.
No.
No, that's not godly. That's not godly. This is why a woman's tears breaks heaven when a man is sharing his affection with somebody, and those tears are dangerous. Now, your attentions are to be with your wife, mother of your children. And what?
Your attentions are to be given to them, and your thoughts are to dwell upon plans for their happiness.
Finish. This is why what makes a woman mad. Because all the time, the man should be making the family happy. But now, what has happened? Another woman has pinched that happiness. You pinch the happiness which was supposed to be directed to the wife and the family, and you pinch it to be yours as well. That's what makes a woman mad about that. Yeah, it's natural for a woman to be mad. It's natural because somebody has pinched her own happiness in the family, stolen it, and the man is making sure somebody steals it. No woman will allow that. No woman will allow that. Right? I have been shown.
I have been shown families where the husband and father has not preserved that reserve, that dignified godlike manhood, which is befitting a follower of Christ.
It gives dignity to find that the man who loves his wife.
Yes.
That's why even when you are opening up a credit, they ask you, are you married?
Yes.
That's the first question. Then say yes. And then say, how many children do you have? He says, 5. Okay. Are they with one man? They ask that question. Why? It proves some character. There is a character involved. That they are trying to analyze what character are you. Do you understand? Yeah. And let's hear.
He has failed to perform the kind, tender, courteous acts due to his wife,
Right?
whom he has promised before God and angels to love, respect, and honor with them while they both shall live.
That's why some will say, I was kicked off the house, but I will continue to stay there. Say, why? Because I made a vow in front of God, in front of my wife, or in front of my husband, and in front of people who were there. How can I break that vow? Those are people who respect God. Yet those who are not those who are ready to break the vow. You think the vow which you made in front of everyone is a joke. The vow is solemn. You can't break a vow. You think it is a joke. Yeah? Don't just break it easily like that. A vow, you cannot break it and get away with it. Now it says,
He has failed
uh-huh,
to perform the kind, tender, courteous acts due to his wife, whom he has promised before God and angels to love, respect, and honor while they both shall live. The girl employed to do the work has been free and somewhat forward to dress his hair and to be affectionately attentive, and he is pleased, foolishly pleased.
do you see some men, because some places they have domestic workers who work in the home, and then he said, it's a girl which was employed here. He says, the girl employed to do the work has been free and somewhat forward to dress his hair and to be affectionately attentive, and he is pleased, foolishly pleased. You see? There are some foolish parents. This is what I enjoyed when I came here. There are no domestic workers. I don't like it. I don't like domestic workers in the house. I don't like it. Only to just to say good morning to my husband, I feel so bad in my heart. I say, how is my husband feeling about that good morning? Yeah? Just like that. How is it? I feel bad. And I'm happy God knew what I don't like and set me where I can, when I leave my dress on the floor, I find it on the floor. Because there are some places where they will leave this domestic worker going in the bedroom to make even your own bed. And maybe you live together with the husband and your husband is just going out and coming in when the domestic worker is making your bed. That's very foolish. That's very foolish. Yeah, that's very foolish. Can't do that and survive. And domestic worker is left to do everything for the husband. And they cook. And when they cook, they know the father's plate is this one. And comes and kneels in front of your husband, giving the food. And they say, what is the husband feeling like? When that woman is coming to kneel, when you are sitting there as a proper wife, when this one is performing your duties. You understand? I don't like it. I don't like it, to be honest. And that's why when they say good morning, I will just go behind and find, how is he behaving? Yeah, because I don't want. It's easy to fall prey. That's why most domestic workers, they fall prey of these men. Yeah? In the home. The mother goes and sleeps in another town. The bus did not come on time, so I have to sleep at things. So my husband is home and domestic worker is going to be at home and I'm here out. You think of all those sort of things. Yeah, that's what happened. That's pair bonding. Let's hear. So the girl here who was employed to do the work has been free and somewhat forward. And some girls, once they know this is the job, they become forward. They want to do everything that the wife was supposed to be doing for the man. Yeah. And then he says forward, and you see, to dress his hair. So it's, come and comb his hair when you are there. Yeah? And to be affectionately attentive to what the man, where are my socks? And she runs to give the socks. Yeah, that's what happens. And he is pleased. This one is a good one. This one is a good one. Foolishly pleased. In his love and attention, listen to that.
In his love and attention to his wife, he is not as demonstrative as he once was.
And the husband now is falling prey of the domestic slowly of this girl that they employed.
Be sure that Satan is at
work here. Be sure the devil now is at work here. Someone is doing the mother's job here. The husband is happy. Be sure the devil is calm. Right? Let's hear.
Respect your hired help.
Right?
Treat them
what you should do when the hired help is there in the home, first respect and also teach her respect. Respect
your hired help.
The husband should respect the hired help.
Treat them kindly, considerately, but go no further.
Don't go further than that. Treat the hired laborer with respect. But don't go further than that. Do they normally go further than that? Yes. Everything is, the name of the hired labor is in the mouth every time. If this one was there, we are going further than that. The devil is watching. There is another extra woman here in the home who is a hired laborer. And watches how the husband will treat this hired laborer who is female. Now let's hear what happens.
Let your deportment be such that there will be no advances to familiarity from them.
Don't familiarize yourself with that worker in the home. You hear that, man? Yeah. Don't it's from familiarizing yourself that the devil start working hard to destroy that marriage. Next time when we meet, we're going to be on maintenance of family, privacy, and essential.
Amen.
Maintenance of family, we are going to see how then do we maintain the marriage vow. You and I would like to know how we can maintain this family. It's now for married people, how they can maintain each other together.
Amen.
These are coming as lessons for us to prepare us to stay in the kingdom, respecting one another with pure thoughts, with bodies that are holy. That starts from now before the kingdom starts. May God bless us all. Amen.